personality, each personality could actually have like different physical features, like almost like it's incredible to think that the facial structure could change. How is that possible? Well, it isn't if it's a purely physical universe. Yes, you could have, different thought processes compartmentalized, but how would that thought be able to actually change the physical part? Well, in a purely physical universe, you can't really explain that. But if it's an emergent universe, you can certainly do that. The mind leads, the body will follow. It's very simple. So, the fourth step in the book is, after you're not your body, you're not your emotions, you're not your thoughts, but you are your energy. In fact, so is everything else. Your energy, and so is everything else. That's the fourth step, to kind of come to the realization. And my thinking is that this understanding that your energy and so is everything else, it's what is often described in a lot of religious schools as that moment of enlightenment. There's a lot of debate about what is enlightenment, what is awakening. To me, it's pretty simple. Enlightenment and awakening is this final step of, wow, no separation. I am just energy. Everything else is just energy. In my own personal experience, that came as like a jolt of lightning. That moment in time, I remember that very clearly. I was taking a shower. I was trying to shampoo, so I was just focusing on that, trying to keep the soap out of my eye, and so my mind was really blank. And suddenly, this whole concept is like almost from outside, just came in, and I laughed out loud. I thought, wow, like it was like a cosmic joke. I laughed and I said, I'm energy and everything is energy. It seems so obvious now, but at the moment it came as like, boom, like wow. But that moment for me didn't come out of vacuum. I did the 4 steps already. I had already done the 4 steps, which was, some of it's arduous. So for me, that moment of came after years of, became a Baha'i, all these things happened. After that, that's not the great leap, becoming aware that you're pure energy, that's still not it. The leap that I talk about, the 4th step, is to experience yourself as completely non-physical. Because even if you are able to perceive yourself as energy, there's a physicality there. There's a physicality to energy. I feel like energy going up and down. Well, you can feel it. That means there's a certain amount of physicality there. The leap is a leap into pure non-physicality, of experiencing yourself as non-physicality, whatever you want to, I can't put a word to it. It's like the Tao, Tao ke Tao, Fei Chang Tao. You can't say it. You can't hold it in your mind. What I'm describing of the leap is something you have to experience for yourself. Anything I say will be just a word. I could describe it. It will just be a description. It won't be it. You have to experience it yourself. I experienced it myself after a lot of meditation. I will not even go into what I experienced. I experienced what I experienced. I do write about it in the book, but I write about it in the same way. I think you can see the conundrum here. How do you talk about something that can't be talked about? How do you describe something that's not describable? In the Baha'i faith, talks about this a lot, the ineffable truth. You can't talk about it. Whatever you say won't be it. So it's almost smarter to not talk about it, because you just point people in another direction. You must experience this yourself. Then it becomes your experience, your knowledge. You don't have to believe it. You don't have to think about it. It's just your experience. So, but why should you guys listen to me? I'm just some person. How did I get here? Why do I think this way? Am I just, I will tell you exactly how I got here. I grew up in Hong Kong. So by birth, I grew up into this bicultural, British Chinese society. So from day one, I had to integrate different concepts. And I've come to realize that that's actually very important in living, is to not be trapped in one paradigm, but to always integrate new things. Because ultimately, it's all one thing. So growing up in Hong Kong already gave me kind of a head start. And I got Christianity at school. I went to a missionary school. And I got kind of Taoism at home because my grandfather was a apothecary, Chinese doctor. So they have a, basically come with a Taoist training, the 5 elements. So I just kind of took that in without thinking, kind of just digested it. And when you're very young and things come in that way, you don't really process it. It becomes kind of a core part of who you are. So I feel very lucky that at the core part of who I was this integrating intellectual part that I'm always looking at, like, oh, things are combined. They're not just one way. You always, reality is a mixed reality. And that was helpful. After I came to the US, I didn't exactly come into a great family situation. There was no abuse. It's just I wasn't happy in my family. So I grew up with a lot of tension, perhaps because of the generational difference and the cultural difference. We're very Americanized. Our parents were not. So kind of running away from that became a theme in my life. I joined the Army, which was kind of weird. Army Reserve, not the full Army. But you still have to go to basic training. And that, I realized in hindsight, was very useful because it taught me I'm not my body. In a very rough sort of way. When the drill sergeant is beating you down, you do things that you didn't think you could. I was not a muscular person. I was not in good condition going in. So yes, the training made me realize, oh, you could totally make yourself do things that you didn't think you could. So, like you could run 4 miles. You didn't think you could run 4 miles. You could do that carrying a heavy bag. So yes, the Army training was, discipline, all that, but I didn't even realize it at the time, but it left a mark in me that realized you could totally master your body. You could overcome, these things, these hunger. That's why also I think I never really had a problem with eating disorder after that. That kind of knocked it out of me. As I started working, I had more experience with just life, sex, making money. So emotionally, I matured. And then I had a very weird experience. I think it's because I was ready for it. I saw a ghost. I was in Taiwan, and Taiwan is a more traditional society, so maybe the kind of consensus reality of Taiwan made it more ready for these things to happen. But I had a friend with me, so it was like a shared reality of seeing a ghost. I'll give you the quick version of it. It was very late at night. We were taking this other girl that we were dancing with home, and we were going up a mountain, and she lived kind of like in the back, so we had to go off-road, and we were all in a taxi. So after we dropped her off, we're coming back down this small road, and it was so small, there was no way we could have missed anyone on the road going up. So coming back down, the taxi driver, his headlights, there's no light on that little street, shines on this person, and because she was wearing all white, the headlight kind of made her glow, and we both went, "Wow, that was weird." The driver didn't say anything. He just kind of swerved around her, but then when she got closer, well, what can you say? Classic Chinese ghost, right? I mean, just right out of the movie, that green face, the straight black hair, the white robe, the no feet. Yes, no feet. Yeah, classic Chinese ghost. So me and my friend, both of us did like, oh. And she didn't do anything. She just kind of, she did turn and look at us, so she did do something. And strangely enough, my whole thought process was like, yes, that is a ghost. And the second thought was like, why am I not afraid? And to this day, I have no answer except I was ready. I was who I was. I was not afraid. I just said, oh, wow, that is a ghost, and why am I not afraid? But my friend had a very different reaction. He was extremely frightened, and he didn't want to talk about it, and he went on to live a very materialistic life. He's doing very well. He works for a big company in China, and he's doing great. He got his law degree, but he's very materialistic. He's like most people around him, whereas I have taken the road less traveled. So that was my first kind of real metaphysical experience. That I couldn't explain it. And thankfully he was there because he verified that we both saw the same thing. It was not all in my head. You were drunk, you were sleepy. I was neither of those things. But the fact that we experienced together made me have to look at that in a different way. And it helped me grow. It didn't particularly help him. So in a way I'm looking at that experience was for me. It helped me. And so again, subjective reality, It helped me grow. So that experience opened the door. Well, other things happened after that that accelerated me getting to where I am today. And a big part of it was my dad died. Not a metaphysical experience, but it sort of became one because I was in Japan and I got that midnight phone call. You know, it was a horrible experience. I flew back. He was in a coma. He was in a coma a week after I got back. He never woke up, but you know, stuff happened. You know, he's sitting there. You say things. He cries. So you go like, "Wow, okay, he must be hearing me." Stuff like that. But the metaphysical moment came when, as he was dying, it was 6 a.m. in the morning. My sister held his one hand, and I was holding his other hand. And the moment he died, I felt some feeling, something go up my arm, over my shoulder, and out the window. And it wasn't like electricity. The memory is very fresh, but I have no way to describe the feeling because it was as near to non-physical as I can put it and still feel it. I mean, it's kind of similar to later when I met a Qigong master and we did Qi, but it was even more subtle than that because Qi is not very subtle. If you've ever had a Qigong master, like, it's not subtle. You know it. And theoretically, he could hit you like a brick wall if he, the right kind of Qigong. But this, well, I mean, in my mind, like, he died, he left his body, went up my arm. All I can say is that happened.